Every single season, I managed to talk myself into the idea that this really might be the Dallas Cowboys year. Sadly, my faith in Dallas has really burned me over the past 2 seasons, where they've lost to the 49ers in completely, and I mean completely, unserious fashion. Have I learned from these catastrophes? Absolutely. Does that mean that I'm gonna stop hyping up the Cowboys? Absolutely not. Because I truly believe this 2023 Cowboys team is going to be different. Jerry Jones and the boys have studied their downfall, made the proper changes, and are ready to come back stronger than the last time we saw Dallas on the field. So buckle up and let me tell you, maybe somewhat delusionally, why America's team is a Super Bowl contender this year. There were 3 main reasons why the Cowboys fell short as a team last year. The first and most obvious one is that their passing attack was flat out too sloppy. Part of that issue does fall on Dak Prescott, who led the league in interceptions last year alongside Josh Allen. There were moments where his timing was off, there were moments where he was overambitious with a throw, or he just flat out wasn't accurate with it. Do I think this will be an issue for Dak moving forward? Absolutely not. He's top 10 all-time in interception percentage and touchdown to interception ratio. Like, that's just not the quarterback he is, guys. More than anything, the serious issue for the Cowboys passing attack was that they didn't have reliable pass catchers outside of CeeDee Lamb. Dalton Schultz and Noah Brown let Dak down so many times with their drop issues. Thankfully, they're both in Houston now, and Michael Gallup, coming off the torn ACL, wasn't really himself athletically, struggled to separate from corners. I have significantly more faith in Gallup this year, though, now that he's 2 years removed from his torn ACL. That's usually when players get back to their peak form athletically. More importantly, though, I think Dallas changed the entire outlook of their offense when they made a trade to get Brandon Cooks this offseason, who's going to be a quality wide receiver too. The thing that Dallas has really lacked with their pass catchers is speed. Even CeeDee isn't really guns ablaze, but Brandon Cooks is one of the premium deep threats in the entire league. He's constantly taking the top off of defenses with his speed. The other big move Dallas made this offseason was parting ways with their longtime offensive coordinator Kellen Moore and bringing in Brian Schottenheimer. He'd been in Dallas for a year as an analyst, but also notably was Russell Wilson's offensive coordinator in Seattle for a few years. Now, Schottenheimer doesn't get to call the plays. That will be Mike McCarthy this year, but he is bringing a more dynamic influence to the Cowboys offense. It's not as much like Kellen Moore and his more stagnant passing game approach with all the curls and hitches, but more of all the deep balls you saw in Seattle with Russ. He says he wants to play fast, he wants to force defenders to play at all 3 levels of the field, and while he aligns with what Kellen Moore did and Mike McCarthy's beliefs in a heavy run game, he's also probably going to bring more of a play-action influence to Dallas. So you see how Brandon Cooks and Schottenheimer coming into the picture is really going to expand Dallas's offensive playbook and make them a more well-rounded offensive attack. So I do expect the passing game to improve quite a bit, but from the words of Mike McCarthy, we know that he has a special focus on the run game. So how is that going to shape out? Well, Dallas leaned on the run game a lot last year and featured Tony Pollard, who was absolutely excellent, over 1,100 yards, over 5 yards per carry, and despite his size, he was really good after contact. Now that he's fully recovered from that broken leg that he suffered in the playoffs, broken legs in general don't tend to derail players that much athletically. I have a lot of faith that Pollard is going to continue to be an amazing feature back. They have one of the most well-rounded offensive lines in the league and plenty of explosion and elusiveness in the running back committee with not only Pollard but also Deuce Vaughn, the rookie, and Ronald Jones. The only thing I think they might be lacking a bit of offensively is a power running game after letting go of Zeke, so there's still a very solid chance and it would make sense for them to bring him back on a very small deal. I know a lot of Cowboys fans probably don't want to hear that, but it's true. Overall, though, I'm confident this is going to be at least a top 10 offense, and even though he might not get voted in, I bet you Dak plays like a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. Defensively, though, is where things are even more scary in my opinion, because even though they were great last year as a defensive unit, they still had some glaring issues that if they can fix, they can be the best defense in the league. There, I said it. Trayvon Diggs continues to grow into a star corner, and even though his interceptions were down last year, he became much more sticky in man coverage, but the issue last year is that Dallas didn't have quality personnel in the secondary alongside him at cornerback. Deron Bland was impressive in spurts as a rookie, and I do expect him to be a solid piece moving forward, but for the other cornerbacks like Kelvin Joseph, Anthony Brown, Nashawn Wright, it was not cutting it at all. So what did the Cowboys do to totally fix this issue? They went out and traded for one of my favorite corners in the entire game, Stephon Gilmore. I am very much of the opinion that Stephon Gilmore is still a very legit corner, even though he's years removed from his Defensive Player of the Year campaign. I really think that Diggs and Gilmore can be the second best corner duo in the league behind Sauce and DJ Reed in New York, because Gilmore is just so sticky and reliable in man coverage that he's probably going to allow Diggs to go back and fish for more turnovers than he was able to last year. He had a stout stint in Carolina for a little bit there, and then in Indianapolis, he was incredibly clutch. If you remember last year, he had 2 different game-winning pass breakups, and when you think about the depth that they already have in the secondary at the safety position. Donovan Wilson, Jaron Kearse, Malik Hooker. You can even rotate Izzy Mukwamu in and out of there. This is very arguably the most deep secondary in the entire league. And the final of the three main problems for Dallas last year that they really addressed, and this one really flies under the radar because their run defense metrics are pretty good, but teams were kind of able to run it up the gut because they didn't have a true nose tackle. So how did the front office address that issue? By spending another one of their premium assets in the offseason, taking Mozzie Smith out of Michigan, the defensive lineman, in the first round. Smith is a massive human being, 6'3", 323 pounds, was a prolific run defender at Michigan, obviously is a good athlete with space-eating potential at that size. So if teams want to run the ball any bit successfully against Dallas next year, they're probably going to have to bounce runs to the outside, and that's where guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, Donovan Wilson, and Micah Parsons can really shine. I just have so much faith and excitement for this unit as a whole. Obviously, so much pass rushing juice with Micah. You've got solid linebackers in Leighton Vander Esch, Damone Clark. I'm even interested in Demarion Overshown out of Texas, the rookie. So many versatile athletes that can fly around the field, north and south, sideline to sideline, and a very stout secondary. And it's all headlined by Dan Quinn, who in my opinion is the best defensive coordinator in all of football. I mean, the proof is in the pudding with all the players he's developed, his schematic versatility. I have no idea how Dallas has been able to keep him from taking a head coach job for 2 straight years. According to projected Vegas win totals, Dallas has a middle of the pack schedule difficulty. In the first month, I think they go 3-1. It's not too difficult. I think they will have one loss to either the Jets or the Giants, though. The next 4 is San Francisco on the road. They play LA. Then coming off the bye, they get the Rams and the Eagles. I'll say they go 2-2 in this stretch. New York, Carolina, Washington, and Seattle is their easiest stretch of the season. I actually think they go 4-0 here. Then they get into a really difficult month where they're playing the Eagles, they're playing the Bills, they get the Dolphins and the Lions. I think they go 2-2. And then the final game of the season is against Washington, and while I love Sam Howell, I think they take that one. So I'm projecting the Cowboys to finish with a record of 12-5 this year, which would make them firm Super Bowl contenders. Philly will be neck and neck with them for the division. Let's get that straight. And maybe this is a little bit of short-sighted justification, but the NFC East has had a different champion every season since 2005. And with how good the Cowboys look as a team, the way I think they've kind of closed the gap on Philly, who got slightly worse while they got slightly better, I think the stars align for Dallas to be the different winner this year and take the NFC East. So that's my elite take on the Dallas Cowboys this year, and it sure couldn't come back to bite me, but I'm telling you, I've never been more optimistic for them going into the season. Please make sure to subscribe so you can support me with this new channel. When we get to 10,000 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away a bunch of Elite Takes merchandise. With that said, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and consider yourself warned about America's team.